Hey everybody, this is Mike with EastIdahoNews.com. I'm here with Democratic candidate Kristen Collum for Lieutenant Governor. We're going to get to know her a little bit more. So, Kristen, would you mind telling me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was born and raised in Great Falls, Montana, from a working class family. And after high school, I left and I joined the Army. I went in as enlisted, came out as an officer, went in with a high school degree, came out with a master's degree. And I served in NATO, worked in the Pentagon for General Colin Powell, and then led as a signal officer, platoon leader in the military. And so I've been here 21 years, raised my daughters, and have worked in the tech sector for large international programs as a program manager for tech companies like Hewlett Packard and Micron Technology.
And so what brought you to Idaho?
Oh, it was my job at Micron. And it was just that it's so close to Great Falls, Montana, that when I came here, I knew I was home. And I was lucky I got the job offer that was given, else that would have been awkward.
So this is a fairly historic election, with it being, no matter who wins,
Yes.
We'll have our first female lieutenant governor. Tell me about your thoughts on what made you decide to run in the first place.
Oh. Well, this year is so filled with many women and many first-time candidates. And it's that same inspiration that got me. I'm a woman, but I'm also a veteran, and I've seen the rip in our fabric of our communities and our nation. And it's that need to pull together for the better of the country and for communities and people. And so it's that I stood up and said, I want to be part of the solution. And also, I'm a mother of 4 daughters. And so we want strong women leaders. And I have that leadership in other sectors, be it military or technology, and it all transfers right over into politics.
And so you're running as a Democrat in a very red state.
Sure.
Tell me what that's like.
Well, it's part of getting over that and reaching out to people of all kinds and saying, look, I'm a moderate. In fact, when I first came here to Idaho, I was Republican leaning, and I identified very strongly with my military background with the Republican Party. But since then, the Republican Party has moved over, and I've stayed in. If you check in with your values, you might see that where we stand on family issues, where we stand on healthcare and education is where I've always been. And in some ways, I've felt left out by the Republican Party, but I've found a home with the Democratic Party.
Okay. And so you mentioned earlier that this election is a lot of firsts.
Yeah.
And with that, we have to talk about Representative Paulette Jordan and her run. Tell me about your relationship with her.
Well, as you know, before the primary, we said that we were a joint ticket. It's not really a thing in Idaho, but we were coming out strongly as 2 women running for the same goals. Since then, she's really taken off nationally and really been doing her own campaign. We're completely separate campaigns. We have completely separate staffs. And actually, in the last few months, she's been so busy nationally that there has been no communication between us. And I thought we were going to be doing things together starting the beginning of September, and it just never panned out. So I'm doing my thing, and I'm going for it.
Okay, great. And earlier you were telling me that you've been living in Boise for years now.
Yeah.
What's it like being over on this side of the state?
Oh, I absolutely love it. And actually, when I come here, I always think back to Great Falls, Montana, because it's very close by. And these towns are the same size as Great Falls when I was growing up, and very agricultural feeling. And I always joke, it's right down to the wind speed. It's so much in common, so I really feel like I'm home.
Good. So one of the big issues everybody's been talking about recently is horse racing.
Yeah.
And Idaho's Proposition 1 to legalize these horse racing machines. Tell me about your thoughts on that.
Well, first and foremost, I always listen to the voters and what they vote, but my personal vote is probably going to be no. I feel like it's been pushed hard by outsiders with lots of money, wanting certain things, but my heart goes out for the horse racing professionals and raisers that would benefit from this and have historically been involved in it for a long time. I care about those, but I just worry about the outcomes that could happen. So I'm voting no, but if it gets passed by the voters, I'd totally stand up for the voters.
Do you feel like this is something you could reach across the aisle on and work with Republicans? It seems like this is a fairly, it's got proponents and opposition from both sides. Tell me a bit about your thoughts on that.
Oh, any topic has commonalities for both sides. So I don't care what it is. There's probably 85% that we all agree on together, and there's just those few things that differ. So there's always, my whole platform is how much we can get done and work together on, even if we don't quite agree on everything.
Okay. Another one that is very similar and it has opposition and support on both sides is marijuana legalization. It seems like more and more states, even including Utah, are legalizing marijuana even if it's for medical use. Tell me about your thoughts on that subject overall.
Yeah, so cannabis, I would say I'm fine with a few things. I think it would be really good to have medical marijuana, CBD oil, and hemp for agricultural growth. And those things I think we should move forward on. There's been enough proof and data in that those things are beneficial and they would help us. Anything beyond that, I think the people of Idaho would need to bring it to bear. So like was done with Medicaid expansion or the horse races, you know, it needs to come up for a popular vote and see where people stand. I just don't know if we have the support yet.
Okay. What, if elected, are some of your major goals?
Oh, okay. So I am a veteran. I was in the Army for 12 years, and I resonate strongly across the state with all my veterans and their families. So that is a particularly dear issue to me. And so I would hope to advocate for all the veteran services that we have and help connect veterans to the services that are there for them. There are veterans that need a lot of help, whether they're homeless or suffering PTSD. Just the list goes on, and I want to make sure that they're all connecting. Also, I'm being the only lieutenant governor or governor candidate that has a military background. I would be able to serve the governor or help them because they're commander-in-chief of the Idaho National Guard. So that's one service that I would love to provide. The other one is cybersecurity. So I come from the tech sector, I have an IT background, and our data, we've already had several hackings of the state sites, and we've found some vulnerabilities. My team, my campaign team has found vulnerabilities on the state sites that we've reported, and yet a couple weeks later, they're still not corrected. So I would like to help shed some light, get some really good practices, and help really galvanize the program that we have for cybersecurity to protect all of our personal and private data that needs to stay that way.
What is one thing you want the voters to know about you that sets you apart from your opponent?
I would say I'm just one thing, darn it. I would say that I'm a collaborator and I represent everyone, not just the 3%, but everyone. And it's really this time of unity that we have to focus on. It's the positive and the unification of our communities and people that we need to focus on. So we need someone who can be rational and calm, be a thinker, and can pull both parties and all the people together and do what's right for Idaho. Okay.
Well, Kristen, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us, and hope to see you in the future, and best of luck.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey everybody, Mike here for EastIdahoNews.com, and I have with me Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeehan. Janice, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, great. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to start off getting to know you a little bit. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've lived in Idaho Falls most of my life, 41 years. I was raised here in a Christian home with my parents. They live in the same house that they lived in back then here in Idaho Falls. My husband Jimmy and I, we've been married for 31 years. We have 2 grown children who are helping us run our businesses. We're small business owners, and we're working with them, teaching them, apprenticing them, and helping them learn how to take over our family businesses so that Jimmy and I will have more time to enjoy our life and with each other and what's left of it.
Tell me a little bit about your history in politics here in Idaho.
Yeah, I've been involved in our Republican Party here on a number of levels. I've served on the lowest level as a PCO, precinct committee person. I served as the Bonneville County State Committee woman. I helped Senator Craig in one of his campaigns here in Bonneville County, member of the Blaine County Republican Women, Bonneville County Republican Women, and honorary member of the recently formed Madison County Republican Women. And I also had the pleasure of being the first vice chair of the Trump Idaho team in the 2016 election and served as a Trump delegate, and that was quite an amazing experience to go back to the Republican National Convention. And in addition to all of that, my service for our party, I did serve as a state representative from this area for 10 years. I served from 2002 till 2012, and because I don't believe in career politicians, I term limited myself out. I listened to the will of the voter, term limited myself out, and went back to the private sector, which is what I think that more people should do, is step forward and serve, and then return and contribute back to the community.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Lieutenant Governor Brad Little.
Well, we both represent the same party. He is my candidate for governor. We don't always agree on policy, and we represent the full spectrum of people within our party. But that's the beauty of our party, is that we know how to work together and represent the varied interests within our party in a respectful manner. And that's one of the things that I loved about serving in the House of Representatives, is that in the committee process and the debate on the floors, we were very respectful to each other, and we could always disagree with the policy, but we don't ever attack the individual and the motive and the incentive of the individual. So I look forward to working with him as our next governor, and I will always remember who my boss is, and that is the voters and the taxpayers of Idaho.
Recently, Lieutenant Governor Brad Little expressed some concern over President Trump's tariffs, especially in the agriculture industry, and that effect that it's having on Idaho. Would you care to address that?
Absolutely, and that's what, I think it's really important that the people that we place in the top levels of state government is critical when we consider the current administration. We're either going to have a person in the top as a top CEO and the vice CEO who is willing to work with the current administration, or there will be those that have more of a hostile attitude towards the existing administration. So I think that's really important, and I think the voters need to understand the importance of that we are representing our sovereign state, and we are going to go work and represent the state, work with the current administration to make sure that our interests in Idaho agriculture are appropriately being represented.
If elected, what are some of your main goals?
Well, I think I would like to see, the main thing I want to do is be, like so many people that have been raised in Idaho, and so many others that are fleeing to Idaho from other states, they're coming here because of the conservative, traditional, independent values of our state. That's who we are as Idahoans, and I want to help protect that. We are a growing state. We have there's going to be a lot of demands placed on our services, and we're at a fork in the road. We need to decide, are we going to continue to go down the path that so many of us love about our state, and the reason why so many are coming to our state, and that is to continue those traditional conservative independent principles, or are we going to go down a different path that others want to try to bring more of a more progressive initiatives into our state, which will take us further down the road of being more dependent on the federal government and doing things more the way the federal government dictates that we do it, or we're going to do it the Idaho way and work to find solutions to the problems that will face that work best for Idahoans, not a one-size-fits-none model for that the federal government offers.
This is a fairly historic election for Idaho, as in that no matter who wins, we'll have our first female lieutenant governor. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think it's awesome. I'm really happy to be seeing so many solid women stepping forward. As a Republican, there's 3 of the 7 statewide offices that are women, and then we see a lot of legislators that are stepping up, and even local races, and I'm really glad to see that, because as women we all wear different hats in life. We're wives, we're mothers, we're daughters, we're best friends, we're community organizers, activists, we're successful businesswomen, and we know that if we believe in ourselves and if we work hard and apply ourselves and commit to building relationships with others, that we'll be successful no matter what we do. And so I'm really happy to be in this position where I am right now. I know that I'm here because this is where I am meant to be right now at this time, and I look forward, with the support of the voters of Idaho, look forward to serving as their next lieutenant governor.
Just to end, what is the biggest thing you want voters to know about you?
Well, I have 10 years of experience serving in the legislative body, and a proven record on any given issue, whether it's taxation, spending, social issues. You know, I served for 4 years on the tax committee, and tax policy can be very complex, and sometimes there are unintended consequences of changing tax policy that we don't think about. So having that experience, to be able to serve on the committee, on the budget committee. For 10 years, I helped manage the Medicaid budget, which is a budget and a program that continues to grow in our state. That experience, combined with having the ability to work with those in the House and the Senate, even members of the opposing party, that is something that I bring to the position that is unique, and coupled with my experience in business, knowing, like so many Idahoans that actually create jobs and have to meet payroll every 2 weeks, really understanding the impact of taxation and regulation on the business community. Having all of that combined experience is what I have to offer that my opponent doesn't have to offer. And that's why I believe I'm the most qualified for the job, because the lieutenant governor's position is a position where the person has 1 foot in the legislative branch of government and 1 foot in the executive branch of government. And I think it's really critical that whoever serves in the executive branch of government, we do the best that we can to make sure that the taxpayers' dollars are spent the most efficiently and the most wisely as possible, making sure that our agencies have the best interest of our citizens in mind, with a consumer service orientation that I'm accustomed to in small business, because we can't survive without that, and that's what we need to have in our state government as well.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you taking the time.
Great, thank you so much.